So, what's your plan? Oh, my plan. My plan. I'm not telling you. You're here because I need you to fight, not to know my plan. I paid you for multiple reasons. See, I hate All Might. I want him gone for good. So, that's why he's here. And I need a toy to distract the teachers that are and students that are also going to be there. So that's why you are here today. Okay? Um okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Hello. It is me, Anime We or We Anime, and I'm here to bring you part 2 and 3 of What If Deku Was Akaza's Reincarnation. And by the way, I found the picture on Google, so yeah. Before we actually start the episode, first, background noise might be apparent, and echoiness might be an issue because I am in a new recording place. Not really new, but in a different recording place than I usually am. Since it is getting colder, I have to be in a different spot. Da 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 da. I don't know. And second, the reason it's part 2 and 3 is because of me, in reality. I don't know why it's doing this, but I tried to upload part 2 for a week and it would just not upload, like at all. Um, right. It just plain out wouldn't upload. So I'm sorry for that. That's why it's 2 and 3 today. So we're going over the USJ and well, it's a mystery on what else it is. Also, look through my description and my title very thoroughly because well, and there's going to be two different titles, so whichever one you think is necessary. Because I'm doing something new. See, I'm giving hints for my next what ifs. Okay, and it will happen throughout the next weeks before I reveal them. So you will be able to guess what you have, like guess what it's gonna be. Uh, and now given I don't really know what I'm gonna do for Deku, so these titles won't mean anything. Okay, they just won't mean a thing for a while until I decide um what I want to do next. Okay. But Asta and well, I've already revealed Naofumi's next one, so yeah. Um, okay. Well, not really reveal it yet, but it's somewhere. Um, it's raining. Why is it raining? It legit said it's not supposed to rain on my radar. So that's wonderful. And I don't have a raincoat with me to escape either. So I'll have to wait it out. But good thing I'm in a roofed area and it's too cold for lightning and thunder. Hopefully. Hopefully. Oh god. Um that might ruin my audio. Oh god. Please don't. Um, okay. Let me get a drink of water, and then we can get into this. Okay. I completely forgot to do my rhyme about getting a drink of water. Eh, I don't care. That's fine. Okay. So we can see Midoriya in a large building with multiple villains and a monster, well, a monstrosity of a what he thinks is a person, but I highly doubt a person has their brain exposed. So, yeah. Hmm. He doesn't know how to feel about that, but hey, so be it. Anyways, right? He doesn't know how to feel about the whole entire thing with the brain exposed, but he'll deal with it for now. And then a portal would open as everyone would step through, entering a dome like building into the main plaza area. Midoriya would be at the back, uh, with Shigaraki, Kirigiri, and the Nomu. Right. He would be back there, just sitting down in a meditative like way, as Kirigiri would teleport people around to their areas, right? And as he would teleport the students. Aizawa would step into action immediately, like he does in canon, jumping down the stairs, taking out the firing squad with ease, as he would start working on the other villains, while the students would be teleported around. Well, Ida would also escape during this time, um, right? Everyone else would be forced to fight in different areas, and yeah, same areas as in canon. Okay, there's nothing new at all. Okay, um, but but nothing. We'll go ahead to Midoriya in this moment as everyone is fighting. He's looking on throughout the chaos ensuing around him, thinking how he got here, remembering how he got here, remembering so many things, and remembering that he had a wire recording everything Shigaraki said, recording everything from his first call with Shigaraki to the most recent one about where to meet them at. See, this was a random. Where they were meeting was just a random alleyway that Kirigiri was in, and he would have opened a portal to the warehouse where they were at. See, Midoriya knew a lot of areas around Japan because he's moved around in multiple areas in Japan. He hasn't just stayed in one area. He's went around. So he knows where a lot of stuff is, but he doesn't know what they look on the inside, but he knows what they look on the outside. See, he also, in his, well, I guess, hideout in the sewers that he would travel through multiple times a day, staying there only an hour to get sleep and heading back out, he would learn that moving around Japan is probably not a good idea. But having multiple bases would probably be more preferable than just moving around, staking out, and then traveling hours and hours away to get back to your main base is not a good idea anymore. So during the time before Shigaraki's call with him, he would be making multiple bases in the sewers of old abandoned like sewer gates, like sewer working, like un those big rooms in sewers, that those type deals. Okay? But also making those bases in there, causing a more likely to being found by the heroes or other villains would be a quite a deal. But this also helps him getting more intel on other villains, plans, and other things like that. Especially after all the gear he was given by a certain winged hero. See, they've met multiple times. Him and Hawks has met multiple times, trading intel. Mostly Midoriya giving him a big bag of papers about what villains are doing. And Midoriya, in return, would get gear. Well, technology. About, well, mostly computers, wires, listening, recording devices, listening, like, so that he'd be far away just listening. Those type of things. Trackers, and all of things akin to that, right? Which would lead him to be in a partnership with Hawks, which was kept hidden from the other heroes, from the hero, like the main hero thing that he works for. I forget the name. Okay, I forget. Like the main agency with the chairman and that those people working. It would keep away from them prying into his business and Hawks's. These two came up with this partnership only 5 months into Midoriya's activities as a villain slash vigilante. But mostly a villain, to be honest. Midoriya was mostly a villain to people's eyes. But to Hawks, he was basically an undercover hero. Hawks had a weird way of thinking that Midoriya would learn that very quickly. Even though he was most likely the fastest hero alive, not alive, but fastest hero, too fast for his own good, he did, he honestly thought he didn't know what he was thinking at all, like at any time. It was weird. See, even though Midoriya has went through like taking apart the technology that he was given by Hawks, he would find nothing. No, well, I mean, besides like trackers, but besides that, like the trackers he was given to put on villains or other stuff like that. But besides that, he would not find anything. It was very weird. Nothing that he could see because he's not a computer geek. But he always thought that was weird. He never found any trackers, anything like that. It was very strange. But he chose to ignore it and just keep on doing his thing for the next year and a half. Years, well, year and a half, well, 6 months and a year. Well, 7 months in reality. For the next 7 months in a year times until he would be led up to this. During those last, well, 7 months and a year, Midori would build up a reputation. He would do a lot of good, but to people's eyes, after learning that heroes were getting beat up by a villain with lines on him as of like tattoos would start to weird them out, starting to remind them of Stain. It would really set the tone for Midoriya on how he works. But that didn't make a difference for Hawks. He didn't care. He already knew that there were heroes in the business doing it only for the money and for the fame. And he knew about people doing it for, well, doing things to civilians that really shouldn't be done. But yet, he never did anything to do it because he didn't have the power to do it. And plus, if he wanted to keep his job, he wouldn't do anything about it. So, this is where the partnership of Midoriya and Hawks would come in. Hawks would tell Midori about these heroes. Midori would do something about these heroes. Hawks would be happy about the scum getting out of the hero work. Midoriya would get to fight strong opponents, always ending up winning. But yet Midoriya would notice something about his body very quickly. Even though he would get cut up and bruised and anything like that, his bones would always do something weird. They would crack back in place as if they were, like, when they were broken. They would crack back into place and they wouldn't hurt anymore. I mean, the pain would still be there of a broken bone, but it would quit after, I don't know, a couple hours. It was weird. Midori would stand up from his seated position, staring out at the multiple bodies unconsciously laying there. As he would say, I guess it's my turn. So he would stretch a little bit. Hold on, I gotta look at something. Sorry. Sorry, I got distracted. But yeah, he would look out on the unconscious bodies laying here and there, on this battlefield at this point, looking up at the stairs, seeing students near his age, if not the same age as him. He would feel bad, but this is what he had to do. He was getting paid, and he was one step closer in figuring out how to take down Shigaraki. See, during the time he was seated there, he would listen to how Shigaraki talked, and he noticed that he talked like a spoiled brat. A kid who spent his entire day on his computer playing a game. He noticed that he would use terms that people who gamed would use about how he's the final boss and you're just gonna be XP and all this other stuff. It wouldn't really do anything. He just figured out how Shigaraki's body language worked. How he would scratch his neck, how his eyes were this weird, always, he doesn't know how to explain it. He would also listen to Kirigiri, how he talked, how he was so obedient to Shigaraki. It was weird. Noticing that large metal collar, it would weird him out. He would sigh as he would say, I guess it's my time. Laughing loud, noticing that time's passed, but it's always the same. He would yell out, Compass needle! As he would get into his stance by bending his knees in a half-crouched position, extending his right arm with a half-clenched fist facing his body, and bending his left arm with his left palm, with an open palm. His muscles would flex and bulge with intensity as his hair would blow back. His yellow eyes would glow brightly. His skin would glisten with sweat as a massive grin on his face. As there would be a massive grin on his face, like he just won the lottery. See, Midoriya respects heroes that can actually do their job, who don't just focus on their quirks. So, when he learned that there was a hero named Eraserhead, the Erasure Hero, that apparently can erase quirks, he was excited. And he met him. Well, not really met him. He just watched him work. Facing a villain that clearly, with his fire quirk, focused way too much on it and didn't work on anything else. So, as he would yell out compass needle, a red snowflake shaped compass underneath, well, would appear underneath him with numbers ranged from 1 to 12. Midoriya would sense something. It was weird. Midoriya never really questioned how he could sense someone's fighting spirit, how much, well, their strength. He never really got how. See, his master could could do it just with his eyes. Midoriya had to use his quirk in a way to where he would have to mold a he would have to mold his, well, physical shockwaves into a array, as you know, of the snowflake shaped compass with the numbers ranging from 1 to 12 underneath him to actually crack their code, technically, to speak. Excuse me. After Once he would realize this is how his quirk, well, this not really quirk, would it work? He just used it to intimidate people. The red glowing light from the compass with quotations in the night illuminating his body seemed to be very intimidating to people. That, well, blue or red light illuminating his body would intimidate people, make them scared of him. Would work greatly on this. See, he could hear the students around, well, up the stairs, or the people, or the three students from his left saying, "Who's that guy? Wait, is that?" There wouldn't be very many people who would recognize him. None of the students, besides one, would recognize him. Aizawa would recognize him from the pictures and what he's heard from other heroes. Aizawa would say, "So, you're Izuku Midoriya." "Oh, good. You know me. That's great. I've always wanted to be recognized by such a great hero as yourself. See, I respect you, Erase Your Head, very much. I've always wanted to fight you after learning your quirk. I wanted to know how it felt not to be able to use my quirk. Even though I never really used it anyways, I just pummel people to the ground because they focus on their quirk too much." It's so great, isn't it, to have such a quirk like yours? The ability to erase quirks. Oh man, I'm so jealous. My quirk destructive impact allows me, as you know, Izuku Midoriya. Many people fear that name, you know. I never got why. I've said my name multiple times to people, and they've just gotten scared. It's entertaining at times, seeing people squirm after hearing my name. Because years ago, that would never happen. Nobody was scared of me, even though they should have been. See, once upon a time in my middle school, I took down high schoolers twice my size single-handedly. See, I was raised by a man who taught a martial arts dojo. After learning that for many years, nobody has been able to step on my level. It was getting boring fighting villains fighting heroes, teaching the heroes a lesson not to use their fame at their own advantage. You must have heard the stories, right? Aizawa would nod. See the idiots behind me, or beside me, that idiot over there with the hands all over his face never really clocked it. I was planning to take him out from the very beginning. This is just extra fun. I don't care at this point. You've already paid me. I get to fight more. That portal guy right there. If you hit that collar hard enough, he'll squirm. I saw that as one of your students hit him in the collar. What was it? The explosion kid? I don't really care. After seeing that, I've clocked. Hit that collar. He squirms. Break it. He probably doesn't move anymore. That guy? The blue-haired one. Yeah. He's the one who hired me. He never really... He's not very smart. The whole entire brains of the operation is a guy on the TV. I've learned. See, I have something. As he would undo his belt and reach down into his pants, pulling a bunch of wires and a box out. See, I've had a wire this entire time. As he would redo his belt, he would throw it to Aizawa and say, "There, give it to one of your students or something, because I still want to fight you." As he would re-enter the same stance that he was in, the compass needle would have already dispersed by this time. As he would say, "I'll give you time to give that to one of the three stooges over there. The frog, the grape kid, and the blondie. I'll give you enough time as you need." Aizawa would say, "Why are you giving this to me?" "Because I'm the one who's been giving information to the heroes this entire time. I'm Izuku Midoriya. Some people call me a villain. A hero calls me his partner in crime. And now you'll know me as Info. See, I have more. I'm the entire reason that so many have been taken out. So, give it to one of your students, and let's fight." Aizawa would say, "You never gave me an answer on why you gave me this." "Because I've always wanted to be a hero. I wanted to flaunt my skills. I didn't care. I wanted to fight strong people. Okay? See, I don't know if you remember this, but years ago, 2 to be exact, nearly 3 years ago, you saw a kid erupt from a pile of rubble after villains fought him and his sensei. You want to know who that kid was? That was me." Your face says, "Oh, the gaped mouth." See, after you all brought me to the hospital and sent my sensei to his untimely death, I looked around for months to find a trace of a team called the Crossers, or the Red Cross, and, well, I guess the Cross as I know them now. See, those people had a grudge against my sensei because he stole something from them. Never really learned what. Never really knew that my sensei was a villain this entire time either. But after taking that entire group down one by one, learning that they were part of the underground family known as the Shihei Hasaikai, after learning that, kind of started hunting down them. Never really found anything on them yet, but I hope eventually I will be able to find out who the Shihei Hasaikai are. Never got a lead on them, but I hope one day a little bird will tell me something. But I'll never know because he doesn't really come by a lot. But anyways, shall we? Aizawa would look over at his three students, Suyu, Mineta, and Melissa Shield. Another American transfer student, All Might, directly invited her into UA. Never really questioned it, but clearly there was some type of favoritism there. He would say, "You three, come here." The three would jump out of a bush, looking like they were ready to fight, but noticing that everything would be down, everyone would be down besides three villains in the back where the portal was once opened, and a man, somewhere looking around their age, a quite young person, standing across from their teacher in a weird fighting martial arts stance is what Melissa Shield would gather from this. He would be standing there. These three students would run over to Aizawa. Aizawa would say, "Get up to the rest of the students and take this. Keep it safe, okay?" Melissa Shield would grab it and hand it to Suyu. And Melissa would say, "What about you?" "Well, I'm gonna give our guest here his wishes." As he would stand there firm, clearly serious about this, eyes would go red. Midoriya would notice that. He can't use his quirk, but he doesn't care. This is what he always wanted. He wanted to do this. As the three students would run towards the stairs, they would make it up there safely. As the hand-to-hand combat of the Erasure Hero Eraserhead and the man that's known as Izuku Midoriya would start. Both running at each other, both trading blows immediately. They would start blocking each other's blows and just parrying them, both trying to kick, but immediately just slapping down each other's attempt. This would go on for 10 minutes with neither of them stopping. Midoriya's grin would just grow bigger as time would go on until it couldn't anymore. See, Aizawa would notice something immediately out of the gate. About 5 minutes in, to be exact. He broke a joint in Midoriya's arms, the elbow joint. He broke it. Midoriya would scream in pain, but his grin would return quickly as they would both back up well, Aizawa would keep on attacking. Midoriya would stop attacking with his left arm because of the, well, broken joint. He would just fight with his legs and, well, feet, well, his right hand and his head, headbutting Aizawa as he would get up close again and he would headbutt him. And Aizawa would hear a crack, multiple cracks to be exact. Midoriya's grin would not falter at this point. Aizawa would have thoughts in his head during this time. Unnerving ones. Maybe this kid has multiple quirks. Maybe this kid's quirk can readapt his bones. He doesn't know. Neither does Midoriya. He's never really known how his bones just will re-crack together a little bit after it was broken. It would take 20 to 30 seconds for them to re-crack each crack. Okay, like say one crack would happen, that would be 30 seconds after it was broken, and another 30 seconds would be another crack. Say if it was broken in two places, which this would be the case, right? But it never really. No, I mean, Midoriya never really brought it to question, but his open wounds, even though he doesn't have any yet, or has had any in the recent hour of two, uh, would do nothing. Nothing would happen since he doesn't have any. But Midoriya would notice something and jump back after the 10 minutes that would already passed. The Nomu would intervene, hitting Aizawa back. Midoriya's quirk would return. Midoriya would look at Shigaraki and say, will yell at him, "This was my fight! You had no right to intervene!" He could hear Shigaraki say, "Nomu, take out Midoriya." As Nomu would turn to him, Midoriya would turn to it and dodge its first strike as he would jump up and say, will yell out, "Leg type, crown splitter." After yelling this, he would do a reverse rising axe kick that would, well, he would produce a shockwave after it would connect. This hitting the top of the Nomu's head, making him crash down to the floor, noticing that impact was nothing like he ever. See, Midoriya's foot never connected with the Nomu's head, or shoulder area to be exact, right? It never connected because there was a shockwave already hitting as his foot would hit. See, after the first shockwave, his foot would hit, causing, well, the actual, like, hit, okay? After multiple times, Midoriya would clearly outspeed the Nomu because multiple minutes would pass and Midoriya would be dodging hits and hitting the Nomu back in quick succession using disorder multiple times. while using disorder. And the Nomu would count down his how Midoriya would realize and how fast Midoriya is, and eventually the Nomu would land a hit, hitting him, sending him flying, crashing into a wall. That wall would be created in and would be broken into, well, out of, because the Nomu would hit him again, sending him through the rest of the wall onto a road. As Aizawa would break into the fight, taking the Nomu's attention. Midoriya would hear the multiple cracks of bones. His spine would crack multiple times. His ribs would crack. His chest would crack. The arms and legs and, well, his entire body would crack. But the open wounds from him crashing onto the concrete, the scrapes that would cause blood to pour, would not close. But it was fine. He would launch back through the open wall as the dust would billow, as he would jump into the air. As he would say, "Air type!" He would punch the empty air multiple times, sending shock waves at the Nomu. All would connect, causing multiple craters after each hit, but they would all heal back. The Nomu would look up, seeing Midoriya in the air. He would throw Aizawa at him, which Midoriya would catch him. They would crash through the glass as Midoriya would start to run towards the door, breaking the door down from the outside, and then jumping through at the student, sliding on his bare feet on the concrete, laying him down. Noticing that he's unconscious and multiple areas, well, he's clearly injured badly. He would, after laying him down in front of the students, the Nomu would notice them. Midori would have multiple pieces of glass sticking out of his back, saying to the students, "Keep him safe." Put pressure on the wounds until your help arrives. As the Nomu would jump up the stairs, ready to bash down onto Midoriya, Midoriya would move quicker, jumping into the air, hitting the Nomu multiple times as he would yell out this order, and the Nomu would be launched back down as Midoriya would follow throughout the air. As he would land, he would say, "Annihilation type." Midoriya would crouch down with both arms to his side. As the Nomu would start to run at him like a bull running at Red, Midoriya would lunge forward, bringing his two arms forward, palms spread out. Well, on his palms would be a blue translucent shockwaves, circular shockwaves, as he would bring both of his palms into the Nomu, launching it up in the air as he would follow further into the air, as he would use leg type, crown splitter, using the same reverse rising axe kick, hitting it in the head this time. Without a doubt, his heel going into the brain, barely, as it would launch the Nomu back down to the ground. Midoriya would follow, as he would say, leg type, explosive fury, flurry? That's what it says. He would kick multiple times at the Nomu so fast it would be creating after images. With each kick, a shockwave would burst out. This creating holes within the Nomu's body. But the holes would regrow very quickly. Midoriya would start to sweat a little. The glass would pop out. From the multiple motions of the back muscles, the glass would pop out. But his arms, as he would still be kicking, he would be just tearing out the glass that is stuck into his arms, just tearing him out one by one. The tinier shards would just stay there, but the ones that wouldn't move from the back motions, the muscles in his back, he would forcefully just tear them out. Blood pouring. But Midoriya would still be fighting back. As he would say, leg type, flying planet, thousand wheels. He would kick in a flowing motion. It would be like a wave flowing and then crashing. As he would kick multiple times, like the explosive flurry, it would also create small holes like a beehive in the Nomu's body. But the Nomu would be blocking this entire time as he would catch Midoriya's leg, bring him up into the air and throw him down to the ground, and then to the other side, and then straight in front of him, down. Blood would splatter. But Midoriya would raise back up, fist ready to destroy, but the Nomu would move quicker. But as it would grab Midoriya's head, Midoriya would bring its hand in a claw-like all of his fingers are pointing in a direction, all together, flat hand, as he would drive his fingers through the Nomu's forearm and grab the bone. Break. As he would bring his arm straight through the forearm now. The Nomu would scream in agony as he would rip out his hand again, as he would then say, quickly crouching and then saying, annihilation type! Boom! Then the doors would fly open. I am here! Unfortunately for Midoriya, he would be noticed as a villain in this time, even though Aizawa would be trying to say to All Might, please, leave him be. Aizawa wouldn't be speaking loud enough. In reality, he's just thinking this as he would go into unconsciousness. All Might would fly down, seeing two villains fighting. Well, one in the air or being launched backwards, and one clearly still arms raised forward. A giant lariat would be coming for Midoriya and would hit him, sending him flying across the body of water throughout multiple different trees, fake trees that would be there, into a wall, cratering into it as he would slouch to the ground, unconscious. All Might then would focus onto the Nomu and Shigaraki and Kirigiri, fighting the Nomu first, taking it down as Shigaraki and Kirigiri would escape. The other teachers would arrive, taking care of their own situation, as we will time skip. Midori would be put into an infirmary. As of Aizawa's request. See, after Aizawa would have he would have awoken first, instead of Midoriya. See, they were initially going to just interrogate Midoriya and then send him off to jail. But as of Aizawa's request, do not send him yet. See, after listening to the device that Midoriya gave Aizawa, and then Aizawa gave to Melissa, who gave it to Suyu giving it back to the heroes for listening. They would hear so much of Midoriya's talking, and his voice and Shigaraki's voice and multiple other people's voices, heroes and villains. This device would have a week's worth of stuff on it. From the last week from the first call of him and Shigaraki to that very day earlier in the day of Midoriya talking about a plan with Shigaraki, to him saying that he was already planning on betraying Shigaraki to take him down, to him talking about his past and his partnership with Hawks. See, after learning that they are working together, Hawks would be called in to talk with Midoriya. Them talking for a long time. Hours of talking. Both trading information. Hawks learning what happened earlier that day. Hawks would say, I don't believe you need to go. But I'm not the final judge here. I can always put my feathers in the way to help you, since you've helped me many a times and helped the world in turn. I will always put my feathers out to help you. And I know you would have done the same for me if I was caught up in the situation. That's just the type of guy you are, Midoriya. So, I say, you need to just do something. I don't want to see you rotting in a jail cell. I want to see you fighting the good fight. Whatever that good fight may be, I want to see you doing it. You have things to take care of, Midoriya. I have some leads on certain people. Midoriya's eyes would glow like they once did earlier that day. Well, not the same day, but days going on. This day of the incident. After hearing that information, Midori would say, "Do you think there's a way for me to join you as a hero?" Hawks would have a joyful face on him, but not a joyful face of, yeah, definitely, but of a face of a maybe there's a chance. As he would say, there's a 1% out of 100 that you could. And I will stick my feathers out as far as I can to make that a reality. Okay? Hawks would smile. Midoriya would say, I'm guessing you already know what the rest of the info is. Yeah, I followed you many of times. I know where you go. Wait, I live in a sewer and there's multiple ones out there. How do you know? I put a tracker on you. What? Yeah, it's in your computer. What? Like all of them. What? Yeah, of course. Did you not notice the bright red feather? Damn it. I don't want to talk about it. So, how you feeling? Like I got hit by a truck as a doctor would walk in saying, well, Mr. Midoriya, it seems you are able to leave, but your stitches will still need to stay in. Your bones are completely fine. It's weird. My entire existence is weird. As we would time skip, a week ahead of that day, multiple words spoken throughout them, eventually leading to Midoriya arriving to a place he never really thought he would see. A university full of other hero students. Because now, Midoriya, even though he has done multiple bad things in his past, it's all because of a winged bird, well, a hero, and Aizawa All Might after hearing what he's done and how he was lived and his entire past life, and after hearing the pleas of Melissa, Midoriya's sentence would be a full flat 0 years, but yet he would still have to repay for all the deeds in his past by becoming a hero and stopping other villains. Yeah. See, Midoriya at this point in the villains, well, mostly Shigaraki's eyes, was a dead man walking. Midoriya already knew that, though. He was excited for that day, that it was finally going to end. But after learning and after another month of a time skip and training throughout that entire month of time, at least I believe it was a month, I don't remember, there would be a festival. Midoriya would not have guessed that he would excel at fighting people better than he did. Man, he loves fighting. And there would be a clear strength gap between Midoriya and his other classmates. A clear gap. So even though he did train within that certain period of time, I believe it was just 2 weeks. I don't exactly remember. I don't remember that exact time, but it was either a month or another 2 weeks. I don't remember. But after training, it would be time for something new. See, we would see Midoriya hiding within a shadowed corridor, watching people enter the same corridor he is in. He would be leaning against the wall of the corridor as people would stay away from him just because they know his capabilities, but the class of 1A would walk up to him, mostly all of them. The people who don't care, like Bakugo, even though he would listen in on what they were saying, Todoroki would just stay away, and everyone else would be talking with Akaza, Midoriya. Like, nothing happened multiple days ago. Like, that never happened. Even though they do still acknowledge that time, Midoriya is a new man. Almost. Still having the tattoos, he's still very recognizable to the public if they have seen him. But to the people who hasn't seen him, won't be recognizable at all. Well, the looks. The name Izuku Midoriya would be entirely different. The name would be recognizable just like a snap of a finger. Like a cow going moo or a chicken crowing at the dead of night. Not dead of night, but the dawn of morning. It would be so recognizable to civilians, to heroes, to villains alike. The name Izuku Midoriya would be feared. But that has nothing to do with any of this anymore. The first two competitions being the same ones as in canon, the cavalry battle and the sport bloodlight obstacle race would still be the same. Midoriya would go through all of them, well, the obstacle course very easily. Excuse me. The cavalry battle would be different, him teaming with Tokoyami, Melissa Shield, yes, Suyu Asui, and a girl named Mei Hatsume. Team with those people to pass through this weird battle. But eventually going through that period of time, it would be finally time for one-on-one battles. The first battle being Midoriya and a kid named Shinso. As Shinso would walk up first, hearing Present Mike say his name. All right, folks, it's ready for the first round of the first bracket. Not first bracket, but the first round of the one-on-one battles. First, we have the I can't say it. The brain washer, the man who speaks every word that you listen to, Hitoshi Shinso. Shinso clearly looking tired as ever, not really caring what the man talking in the loudspeakers is saying, just ready to fight. And then we have this destructive man. His name is known countrywide as A name to fear, a man who protected students and heroes alike, taking down villains only by one name. Through the heroes, he would be known as Info. But now we know him as the up-and-coming hero student Izuku Midoriya. Everyone would gasp. Heroes would gossip. Civilians would be confused. Maybe there's two? But no. A kid with his upper shirt removed, no shoes on. The upper shirt would be tied around his waist as he would walk with the UA sports, well, the UA like training track suit on, just the pants though. Pink hair flowing in the wind, yellow eyes glowing. Him already recognizing from the words that President Mike said that this guy has some type of brainwashing quirk. So, he's not going to talk back. And plus, Ojiro the Tail Man said something about this man. As, well, he would continue. Midoriya would walk up. Midnight would say, "Are you both ready?" Good. Wink. Begin. This fight is, well, you could already guess how this is going to end. A one-sided fight and one lariat would end this. No quirks needed, just pure strength would be used. One lariat to the chest would send Hitoshi Sensho packing. Midoriya would say, "You need to learn how to read another person's movements," as he would turn around and walk off. The next rounds would go as in canon, leading to Midoriya versus Shoto Todoroki. Midoriya watching the past fight, learning that ice is his biggest worry. He would start off getting to a stance that no one has seen before, besides the people of the USJ incident and a couple other heroes in the stands. Midoriya would get in the stance. The compass needle, as he would say, would appear under him, gauging the number of strength Shoto Todoroki has, as it would fade. As Midnight would say, "Oh, learning." That clearly towards Midoriya. Midoriya would say, "Yes, I say you two are both ready. So, begin!" Shoto would start off the fight as he did the last one, a massive glacier. A massive amount of ice would cover the other half of the arena. But it would crack instantly. The ice would shatter and fall in multiple pieces. Midoriya just having him in the same stance. Midoriya would say, "I don't like the way you fight. You're clearly focused on your quirk, so you better have good reaction time. Air type!" As he would punch the air, a shockwave would fire. Tunneling towards Todoroki, any ice that would come into its path, it would break through, hitting Todoroki. Sliding back, Todoroki would still be in the fight. I'll tell you this right now. You better use your other side if you want to win. No matter about what your past was like, you better use your full strength against me, or you're gonna lose and show your old man that you are nothing without his quirk. Or is it yours? It's something like that, isn't it? As he would whoosh, disappear in an instant, appearing in front of Todoroki, doing nothing, just staring at him. You better use it. As he would jump back, as in the air he would say, air type, punching the air. As Todoroki would say, flash freeze, heat wave! It taking out the shockwave, sending Midoriya even higher in the air. Midoriya would say, finally, as he would fall to the ground, landing in his feet, the ground cratering underneath. Air type. Boom. Fire would erupt, snuffing out the shockwave. Midoriya would run closer as ice would erupt from either side, him breaking it as fire would burst in front of him. Midoriya would say, you're learning. Good. Disorder! Punching multiple times at the empty air. Shockwaves would fire out, one after another, finally connecting, sending Todoroki out of the arena. The next fights for Midoriya would be Tinya Ida, which would go as you would think. Very one-sided, like the first fight for Midoriya. But then one after that would be a whole entire different story. Bakugo versus Midoriya would be a spectacular, to say the least. It's weird seeing two people with very similar personalities, but yet such different quirks going at it. The fight would already begin. Midoriya would use Compass Needle A9 would be the case. Midoriya would be quite surprised. Todoroki's was only a 5. I need to up my meters, my ranking. He's gonna be fun. The fight would go on. Both using their quirks, both using named attacks, their ultimate moves. Well, Midoriya in that case is, as he would send Bakugo into the air with leg type flying planet 1,000 wheels, sending him in the air like that. Bakugo would up the height as he would come down with so much speed. I guess it's true. Acceleration is key. As Bakugo would yell, Howitzer impact! Defeating Midoriya in that one fell swoop. But the only reason he defeated him is because Midoriya would be on the ground, standing back up, bones cracking, the burn still burning. He would say, I forfeit. You're strong, kid. Any regular person, if you didn't hold back on that last explosion, any other person would be unconscious. Not me. I'm built different. As he would walk out, burn still bubbling, Bakugo would yell at him, cursing him. Midoriya would just wave. And that's where we're going to end it here for today. I'm sorry for taking so long. Yeah. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, night, afternoon, evening, or whenever you're watching this. And I hope to see you all next time. Roll the dice. Bye bye.